hello, and welcome back to another episode of Minority Reportz podcast and digital series. I am your host, Mona Sheikh, and you guys, TGIF, it is Friday. It has been a long week, okay? Between, thank God for President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, I feel like a load has been shifted off my shoulders, like just been taken off. And I just want to sleep. It's like I haven't slept in the last 4 years and I'm exhausted and all I want to do is nap. And I'm not even a napper. So I don't even know what's happening, but I feel like my brain's like recalibrating. My brain is no longer in survival mode. It is in thriving mode. Hope you guys are feeling the same way. James is here. James said, happy Friday, everyone. My gosh, Biden has done more in 2 days than Trumpy did for the last year or more. Amen. I'm not much of a fan of Biden, but if he concentrates on dealing with the pandemic and the well-being of regular Americans, he'll be all right. Yes, James, yes. I think he's gonna handle it. I think we're gonna be fine. I feel like adults have taken over, and the children, the narcissistic children have left. The children of the corn have left, and here we are. But enough of that. I want to bring my very talented friend and guest today. She is a two-time Emmy-nominated producer, and we're going to learn so much more about her today. My very talented friend, Terri Davis. How are you?
Hey, Mona. Thank you for having me. I had to have this in front of me before this.
Yes!
Yes.
By the way, what did you think of that cover?
I love it.
Yeah, you love it?
I love it because Vogue has always been such the epitome of high fashion. Yes. And what I love about her is that she is always authentically herself.
Yes.
So to see someone who's not dressed up to death, and she's wearing her chucks and she's got her, it felt good to see that. It felt good to see that.
I mean, I love seeing Kamala because besides being an incredibly powerful and brilliant woman, she's also very beautiful to look at. I thought that cover didn't really do her justice. I thought it's kind of casual, but maybe she liked that.
That's the point. Yeah, I think that's the point. She's definitely a woman of the people and a badass. And I kind of like the look on her face. It's almost like, well, here we go.
Right?
Here we go.
I think, Terri, if you really think about it, because she's half Black, half South Asian, so she's like half of both of you and
both of us. It's both of us. Exactly.
That's what she is,
Yeah.
Man, Terri, I've known you for a while now.
Yeah.
And I think whenever I had Ron Woodson on yesterday.
So have I.
I was like, I have all these amazing friends. And I need to show the world what an amazing, cool group of friends I have. Right?
I feel the same way.
Right? You want to because it's like when you uplift your friends and you see them winning, you're just like, I'm winning with them.
Too. Yeah, exactly.
So I was like, I gotta bring Terri on. And Terri, I must confess, all the years I've known you and we've laughed and partied at Tom and Ron's, I never bothered to Google you.
Why would you? I mean, that's crazy.
I'm like, that's Terri. That's my friend Terri.
No, why would you?
Because that would be a little creepy, right? Like your friends like Googling your friends. You're like, yo, what kind of creepy? That's creepy. That's creepy. But I mean, let's start with you being nominated twice for an Emmy. I mean, you've been in the business for a while now, right, Terri?
Yeah, even though I'm so young, I've been for a very long time.
Black don't cry.
So young.
Brown don't frown and black don't cry.
It's been a very long time. And I always laugh with the people who got the nominations with me that most of them have won since, and so they don't really think about this. But I've held on to the nominations for me because being a Black woman in this industry, you got to hold on to every positive that you get because they don't come around that much, Absolutely. And it was for a design show for Discovery. Okay. And I know the reason why we won both years is because we were innovators and we did everything. We did design differently. And I think at the time it was just Martha Stewart, us, and a woman named Carol Duvall who did she was around forever, like crafts and sewing. This is a while ago. Yeah. So I've always been proud of it because we all contributed our talent. It wasn't one of those things where some people were held back from doing what they did. We all worked our butts off. And so I really feel like those two nominations were a representation of me making a real contribution on a show. So wow. That's why I hold on to them dearly. And one day I hope to be two-fisting the two Emmys on either hand one day for something that I've created. You know what I mean?
Honestly, Terri, I feel like with your talent and your work ethic and your hard work, I think it's only a matter of time, really.
Yeah. I'm hoping with the tide turning now, I feel a little bit better than I did before. Sure. 2019 was a very, very difficult year, and I've been through a lot of, abusive colleagues and jobs and things like that. So I think in a very odd way, 2020, even though it was such a horrible year, the one good thing about it is that there was time for me to really do some inner reflection and look at what what has happened, what I want to do, and also who I am. I think people always throw around that phrase, oh, just be yourself, just be yourself. Well, if you've been around a lot of toxic environments, you've been pushing that boulder up the hill for your career or whatever, sometimes that gets lost and you don't know who that is. Yeah. I think for me, the one really positive thing that came out of 2020 is that I know who I am now. And I know the talents that I want to keep going forward pushing. Yeah. And I know the situations I don't want to be in ever again. We all have to make money, but I've made decisions in the past that were just not healthy for me in terms of the jobs I was doing, the people I was working with, and how badly they got to me. Yeah. And so I'm protective of it. I'm really protective of my peace of mind.
Sure. Terri, I read this quote recently. It said, if it costs you your peace of mind, it's probably not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
And I think hands down, I think that's one of the greatest, memes on Instagram I've ever seen. Because I'm like, wow, that's very profound. That absolutely makes sense. What fascinates me, like me being a stand-up comic, you being a director producer, me also being a producer on the comedy side. What fascinates me about Los Angeles is that Cali's supposed to be this very liberal place, right? We're very liberal. And when you're in entertainment and the amount of toxic people you come across, you're like, where is the liberalism? Where is the compassion and the kindness and the understanding? I mean, what is going on here? So is this all just some bunch of phony bullshit that people just put out and be like, we're liberal. Oh, I want diversity. Oh, I totally want Terri. Oh, I totally want Mona. But then they're like, get them out of here.
Yeah.
Get this skinny white girl.
I think part of it, because I've had also a year to really question this industry that I'm in. I think part of it is the fact that there is a crap ton of money to be made for what we do. And what we do is create. And that's a thing that's not tangible until it becomes a project or whatever. Yeah. And I think that's what makes people lose their minds. I think that I had Andrea Quinn, who is a phenomenal life coach. I had done a workshop with her. And one of the things she said is that when you go into these situations, remember that the only difference between you and the people that are higher up is wealth. They've been recognized and they have power. But at the end of the day, you're doing the same job. Mm-hmm. In essence, you're doing the same job. And I think that's what happens is people get really hung up on their titles. They get, the pressure is really insane. Yeah. And there's a ton of entitlement and there's a ton of privilege. And I've had so many different really bad situations, on shows that I was blown away by. And I've also had some of the most amazing. I've had mentors that really just trusted my talent and were by my side. One that I lost 2 years ago that he just meant the world to me because for years he was always there to say, don't let this be about you. This is about the work. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be a little crazy, and they're going to be mean, and they're going to bring, dynamics into projects that don't need to be there. And you have to find a way to detach yourself. Right. And that's not always easy. It's not always easy because sometimes it is personal, unfortunately.
I think, Terri, for what you do, and I think yours might be a little bit different in the sense that, like, for me as a stand-up comic, when I get up on stage, it's just all me, right? There's no team behind me. There's no writers. There's no producer. It's just me. So when people talk shit, it's deeply personal. Like, you're eating shit in real time. Either you got things in real time, like it's instant, right? It's not like a writer that, writes for months and months and then submits it and then critics critique, and it's not even public. For us, it's all very public and it happens in real time. Right? Yeah. You're going to either get off stage and be like, wow, just ate a giant donkey dick right now. Wow. Should I quit now? Like, should I quit? And then I knew a voice inside of you. You're like, don't quit. It's okay.
No, and that's the thing. I dreamed of this. I'm one of those people that I feel very blessed and grateful that at 5 years old, I knew I wanted to be on the set directing. I blame it on my mother because she was an ad exec. So I was around a lot of directors. I was on a lot of sets, but I always knew, and I've never lost that. And my thing is, part of the peace of mind that we talk about for me is I decide when I'm not going to do my dream anymore. I cannot let anybody else on the outside make that decision. That's an awful way to live. It's an awful way to live. And that's the real fine line when I have people, when I have, I sound so old when I say this, but when I have younger up and coming talent talk to me and ask me for advice, my biggest thing is you have to trust in yourself and realize that being an artist and being in this business is 100% courage. It's 100% courage. You're going to have people that you thought loved you and cared about you that really don't want you to do well, or there are going to be people that, really try to break you down for what you're trying to do, or it's just a very weird path. It's a very weird path because all we're trying to do really is play. Creatives and artists, we're playing. We're make believe. We're coming up with all of these different things to touch people's hearts, either make them laugh, make them cry, inspire them. So all of the business that we deal with, the business side of it, is not funny. There's nothing funny about it. All the years, the stuff that has come out about, I'm horrified. I've been through some shit in this business, but some of the stories that we've heard during the Me Too, I'm like, thank goodness it wasn't that deep. You know what I mean? And the things that I've come up against, the racial discrimination and the microaggressions on shows and things like that. It's exhausting, exhausting. And we're also in a business that nobody really wants to, take action. That's what blew my mind about that movement happening and seeing people take action and have something happen. Because usually you can take all the action you want, but that doesn't mean anything's going to happen. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah. So.
Terri, did you watch this? Did you watch this documentary? It's on HBO Max. It's called On the Record.
No.
It is about Black female executives who were there's this one. It's mostly revolved around Drew Dixon, who was a huge executive. I mean, she discovered a lot of amazing hip hop stars. Redman, like Redman song with Terri J. Blige. Yeah, she's the one who put all these deals together, right? She was she has this incredible talent, right? And the story revolves around her, and she talks about in graphic detail how Russell Simmons raped her. And 20 other women came forward and also accused Russell Simmons of raping them. And then L.A. Reid, same thing, right? And they talked about how, and it was a fascinating conversation because such a nuanced conversation that they're like, look, as Black women, we are marginalized as it is. But for us to go out and call out a Black man who is already getting beaten down by society, then the guilt all of a sudden is on us. But, and it's interesting because in many ways, I also experienced that, right? I cannot go and like call out like a dude of, a brown guy or a Muslim guy, be like, he's a misogynistic piece of crap, or he's this. And they're like, see, that's what your people do. That's what.
Yeah, exactly.
See? Exactly. So then you're like, oh shit, now the guilt's on me. But then what about me, right? Yeah. What about the victims who were raped, right? Well, how do they find justice? Yeah. And of course, Russell Simmons has strictly come out and denied, and L.A. Reid. And what I was thinking after the documentary is that they never filed a lawsuit of defamation against these women. Why is that?
Right.
That's a mission of guilt.
Yeah.
That's a mission of guilt. And Terri, quite frankly, how many women does it take, especially women of color? How many women does it take? In Bill Cosby's case, it was 55.
Right.
How many women does it take for a man to be tried for his horrible crimes? How many women?
Well, that's the mystery question. I mean, it shouldn't take but one, and there's so much. My big thing is the fact that with everything that I went through in the business, nobody gave a shit. I mean, the bottom line is that I could have told, a million people, and it's like, oh, that's the business. You got to get a thicker skin. People actually use the phrase thicker skin or thick skin in job descriptions in the entertainment industry, that you must have a thick skin. It blows my mind, because when you're looking through these descriptions and I see that, it's like, got it. If you take this job, you better be ready for quite a ride. We're letting you know, but you've got to have that thick skin. What is thick? What is that?
It's a code word for abuse.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a code
word. One should have. We will throw shit your way. You better get ready.
Yeah. No one should have that. That's not this amazing characteristic that you're able to take shit like that. And for me, that was one of the things that I had to detach myself from, is the belief that my self-worth was less than because I wasn't just taking abuse. I was angry and I was speaking up, but nobody cared. But at least I was saying something, what I mean? Yeah. And I think that, that's the problem, is that the business side of what we do to get to be creative can be so detrimental and so devastating to people. There are so many, women who are dealing with heart attacks. I have 3 friends, and I should not be able to say this, 3 friends that are under 50 that have had not heart attacks, strokes.
Whoa.
2 that were under 40. Yeah. Stress. It's like, it's not worth it. It's not. I mean,
Terri, that's
it's not worth it.
That's crazy. It's very fast. I wanted to actually ask you, when you spoke up against, and were complaining and just pointed out this toxic behavior, was there a backlash where you were fired, or you were like shut down from jobs? What happened to you?
I wasn't fired for any of that. I was lucky that I never had to go through that.
Okay, that's good.
But it was just sort of like I was being the angry Black girl,
Of course you were. Because it's so much easier, right? It's exactly. Slap that label. Then you're like, what is she angry about? Like,
exactly. I've always said that. It's like when you get that label put on you, it's like, does anyone ever think for 1 minute, what could you possibly be angry about?
That's right.
Do they care where that came from? And so for me, it was always, you're lucky to be here. That's the business. You got to get a thicker skin and don't take it personally, and none of that. I've always said, we should never be falling back on it's just the business. This is not something that has to happen. That's correct. Is not necessary to get a show done with everybody crying, and sick. It's like I've been in so many toxic situations where I've sat in my car and cried before I had to go into the building because I knew what the day was going to be like.
Wow.
To get a show done.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
And I think that's what's really, I really want to see it. I really want to see it change. I really want to see it shift. And I think, talking about Kamala, one of the things that I was thinking about today is that the reason why when she said I'm speaking, why that resonated with so many people is because I want that. I want that resolve of being, if I'm in any situation where I can just be grounded, hold my tone, and just say, okay, instead of swallowing things, making myself sick, not sleeping, taking things personal. It's like there has to be a shift in how we approach the industry, but there definitely has to be a change in how the industry approaches us.
Yes.
Yes, there's a lot of money to make, but come on.
Terri, there's plenty of money to go around. I think one of the things I actually don't like about the business, among a few other things, because besides the sexual harassment, the privilege, and the entitlement, is the fact that, what I don't like is that, that as a woman, if you ever speak up, right, if you say anything, or you're just going to be shut down. I briefly worked for a studio that I will not mention, and the president's assistant was this male assistant, and he somehow thought that the other people who worked there or who were in that position, that he could just speak to them in a demeaning way, that he was entitled. Yeah. And he sexually had harassed a few other assistants there. I wasn't an assistant there. I worked with like different executives and celebrities, so I would have a lot of contact with him, but somehow he thought he got it confused. He got it confused. I was one of those girls that was going to keep quiet. I was like, oh, honey. I was like, oh, you stepped in a puddle and you don't even know. So one day he calls me and he goes, you look like the kind of girl that would get a few tequila shots in you and you would like dance on the table.
Okay.
I was like, I don't even really drink. So it's a bizarre thing to say.
Yeah.
And he was like, what are you doing this weekend? You want to come to the beach with me? You can bring your bathing suit.
I
was like, I don't know you like that.
Yeah. And so I don't want to know you like that.
I don't want to know you like that, Mr. fucking creep job. Okay. But then after that, I was just like, no, thanks. I was just trying to like politely.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Away. Don't need to see it. Put your penis away, please. No need to pull it out.
Yeah.
And then after that, it started getting very aggressive with me. He's like, why can't you answer your phone when I call you? You're very aggressive on the phone. I don't appreciate the way you talk to me.
Oh my God.
I go around and I talk to other assistants and other people I work with. I was like, hey, do I come across aggressive? They're like, what are you talking about? You're the nicest person here. They're like, who the fuck is telling you this? I'm like, this bag upstairs fucking. They're like, be careful of him. They're worried about him. This happened once. I let it go.
Right.
When it happened again, I was like, oh, you're on your third strike now. I walked straight into the HR's office. I was like, hi, we need to talk. There is straight up sexual harassment happening here. So if you don't handle it, I will file a lawsuit. So you take the pick.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
Terri, not only did I come out, because I came out and I told other women there that if they had experienced it, and I brought all of them out. About 10 or 15 different women came forward and pointed out what a piece of shit this person was.
Right.
Did they fire him? Nope. Nope. They sat him down. They twisted his ear real hard. They cussed his ass out. They said, we will fucking fire you next time you do some shit.
Yeah. They should have been an expert.
Terri, he should have been let go immediately. If it was a black guy who done that,
oh my God.
He would fire his ass like that. Black, Latino, anything else? Out of here.
Gone.
I want no goddamn tolerance for you. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. But this motherfucker is like, he's climbing the ladder.
Of course.
He's climbing the ladder.
Of course.
But this is a kind of toxic shit, right? So let me ask you, Terri, do you think, is it a gender thing or is it a mentality thing? Because there were women in that studio that were fucking straight up toxic too. One of them got fired for racism. One of them made a comment. Yeah, one of them made a comment about a black actress who, like, we don't need another fat black girl or some shit like that. and some people were listening, and she thought that she was just going to get away with it, and it traveled all the way up to the top, and they were like, nah, we're going to let you go.
And we're done. Yeah.
And we're done here because we're not sacrificing our studio for you.
Yeah, I was just about to say, now bad press can really do some people big harm.
That's right.
I promised myself if I got the opportunity to tell the story, I would tell it, just because it happened so long ago.
Terri, I want to hear it.
Huh?
I want to hear the story.
It's a very short one, but it goes along with what you're saying. Yeah. And I do believe that it's a mentality, but it's also a gender thing, because there have been plenty of white women who have not wanted me in a room. Trust me. And there were two that I got. I was working in talk at the time, and I guess there had been like happy hour or something, and one of my colleagues and two of the senior producers were at a bar or something. It was a group of people. It wasn't everybody from the show. It was just a group of people. And they proceeded, not knowing that this colleague was a friend of mine, to talk about how disgusted they were that I was given a position. And they both made a pact, because I was one of the producers, they both made a pact that they would break me in no time at all. And my friend told me about it. And I thought to myself, and I was like, really, ladies? A life of privilege and entitlement? What could you bring to me as a Black female growing up in this country? What you got that's going to break me? And believe me, they tried. They made my life a living hell. I got very sick on that show, but they didn't break me. I'm still doing it. I'm still working. I'm still producing. But those are the aggressions that you keep getting.
People I know. How could anybody do that to you?
Because they didn't believe I belonged. You know, that's the thing. They didn't believe I belonged in that position. They didn't believe that I should have been on that show. So their first go-to is, not a problem. She's a little Black girl. We can break her. With what? You know, it's like we wake up going against discrimination every day of our lives. What did these two women think they were going to do to break me? Tell me I wasn't talented? I'd already been hearing that here and there for years, you know, and it's like, but it's me that has to remember that, you know, the talent I bring and the contribution that I make as a creative is mine. And, you know, for whatever someone's belief is, I happen to believe in, you know, I have a spiritual life. And so I believe in higher power. It was given to me. This is a gift. This is part of my mom's DNA. This is, you know, my family's DNA. These two women cannot take that from me or break me. It is the most ridiculous. Why would somebody want to do that to begin with? If you're a leader and you've got a creative team of people, they should have been saying, we'll do whatever we can to support all our producers, not trying to figure out how they're going to break one of them. It was the most ridiculous, you know, but that's kind of an attitude that a lot of women have against other women. We've been dealing with that for a long time, you know, women wanting each other on the, you know, in the same room.
That's right. Because, you know, there also is this thing, right, where, you know, I see it among brown artists too, brown female, brown male. If there's another brown male artist and they see me or someone like me, a female, immediately they're like, oh my God, I'm no longer the exotic one.
Right. It's the competition.
It's all about me. And you're like, it's not even about that. It's just like, you know, there's enough stuff to go around. Like, look around you. We don't live in the 50s or the 60s. The opportunities are way more than they have ever been. Right. I remember, Terri, that you remember that show, Ugly Betty?
Yeah.
So I remember taking a class with the casting director. This is like early on in my years of doing acting, because I was a stage actor in New York before I became a comic. And I remember taking his class, and you know, he was giving critiques, and he would sit individuals down at the end of their stuff, and he sat me down, and he was like, I just want to let you know, you will never be a lead in anything. You will always be like the third or the fourth banana, because, I mean, look at you. You're like ethnic. So like ethnic people will never become leads. So you'll never be that. And you should just get used to that. So just try to become more of a character actor. Try to do that. And I'll never, ever
forget it. You'll never forget it.
it just like imprinted itself in my brain. And I think even in my immaturity, even as young as I was, I knew that was a fucked up thing to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because nobody knows how the tides will turn. Nobody's
an authority on that level.
Terri, nobody predicted that BLM was going to take off in a way that it did, right?
Exactly.
Nobody knew that there was going to be a pandemic that was going to
oh my God.
That was going to expedite things in a way that has never been
happened before. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So for somebody to come out and make such a ignorant, callous comment, really speaks to the volumes. It is like MLK said, to the content of their character.
But that's the thing, is that everybody, that's what's crazy. One of the craziest things in the industry is that everybody has an opinion. Mm-hmm. And
opinions are like assholes, right?
Exactly. I mean, everybody has an opinion, and you may not be right for one part, but then you can find the role of a lifetime next week. You know, nobody knows the entire, scheme of what's happening in the world. So, there are so many actors that have those stories, and it always infuriates me. It's like, who are you to decide what my path is and what my future is? You have no idea. If I'm not right for this role, cool, whatever. But don't, put this edict down that I will never do anything more than, I had a woman in New York tell me when I was leaving New York to come here, and she was like, well, you're not going to make it. You'll just always be an assistant. And it's like, really? Was this
a white lady who said this?
Yeah. And she's a slice. But what I realized too is that's important is that all of these people that say and do whatever they have to try and bring us down, it's something in them that there's a lot of self-loathing in that.
That's right.
And I just realized now that I have to do whatever I can to forgive all of my regrets of my past by knowing that I'm a different person and that I'm so protective of being able to do what I love, being able to contribute what I love, that I cannot give anyone permission to take that away. I mean, they may hurt me, they may wound me, but I will heal because I'm not leaving the planet without doing what I came to do, whatever at this point it may be.
That's right.
But, I think that, and also, to talk just a little bit about what the inauguration did for me was Amanda Gorman.
Oh.
Because Amanda Gorman took me from feeling like, is this ever going to get any better to, oh my God.
Have you watched her interviews? Did you watch her interviews? I was like,
that's what I'm saying.
I was 22 or is it 42?
I know.
It's not 22, 42.
And it's just, just to know that she overcame so much to, to do what she did in one of the most intense inaugurations, and just nailed it and just took it over. I mean, that's who everyone is really talking about.
That's right. That's right.
And at that moment, I thought, because last year when all the unrest was happening, there was a news story when Fairfax was burning, when all of the stores and everything.
That's my hood.
That's my old hood. It's my old
hood too. Yeah.
And there was a little black girl that they interviewed, and there were tears running down her face, and she said, "Why does everybody hate me?" I cry for hours just thinking about it. It just crushed me so much. Mm. And when I saw Amanda do that speech, I knew that little girl saw her. And in that moment, I was like, that's what I'm talking about. We cannot give up saying what we have to say. We cannot give up telling our stories in whatever way we need to do it. As much as social media can get on your nerves, you and I couldn't just do this before. It's like we have to use the outlets that we have to talk to people and to be seen and to have and to speak and to give others that permission to, yes, you have a story to tell. Yes, you should give this a try. Yes, you should do whatever it is that you love. And not let anybody tell you, oh, we'll break you and you won't get in the club. Start your own club.
That's right.
What I mean? Start your own channel. Start, whatever you need to do to fulfill your spirit and your life, you need to do that. And the other thing I will say that absolutely has to happen, get rid of the toxic people.
That's right.
I did not realize how many relationships and connections I had with people that just didn't want me to succeed, that just could not stand me, but had this presence of, I'm there for you and whatever you need. And we just have to accept the fact that we have haters that are invisible, whatever. But the ones that are enemigos, as my friend Rossi calls them, you gotta step away. It's hard. But you gotta be honest with yourself, because we're already in a business that throws so much at us. We can't afford to have that in our lives, in our personal lives. We cannot.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to live your daily life with support. That's why I keep all of you guys close to me. All of my friends that I have now, that inner circle that I have now, took a long time for me to get to. And a lot of hurt and a lot of betrayal and a lot of abuse and a lot of bullying, but at some point you just have to say, I don't need to take this. I can't take this.
That's correct.
And
Terri, and it's interesting, I talk to my therapist about this quite a bit, about boundaries, right? Down to boundaries. And I think for me, I grew up in a household where, my primary caretakers, my parents, were the biggest boundary violators. So as an adult, when you become an adult, you don't even understand that. With boundary violators, right?
Yeah.
So you're just like, oh, this is normal. This is home, right? As fucked up as it is, it's still home. And then after a while, you're like, fuck this. Like,
I'm grown. I'm grown.
I'm a grown woman. I don't need to do this. And even the very people who, are your parents or your family members or whatever, then you're just like, you put your hand up. You're like, no,
yeah, exactly. No,
we're not today, not ever.
We're not doing that.
Today, Satan. Not today. Not today.
But it's
not your day.
Not today. It's like, it took me a long time to learn how to say no. And then I got in the groove. It's like, no, I'm not going to continue this connection with you just because at one time, because that's the thing. When we're younger, we want that crew. We want all the friends and to hang out and go out and stuff like that. But there's a certain point in your life where there's so much that's going on. Yeah. You don't have time for the petty drama. You don't have time for people being either jealous or hateful or racist or what any of those isms are. We don't have time for that.
That's right.
Like we went from going about our day to March happening, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're not going anywhere. You're not going to see your friends. You're not going anywhere. It's like the entire world just shut down.
That's right.
And all of a sudden it's like all of that stuff that we took for granted was like, oh. I kept saying to myself, how many people would I have not seen had I known it was going to be the last time that I could go out and hang with people? Right. Just because it was either an obligation or what I was used to or whatever. Yeah. And how many times am I going to be around people that have hateful things to say, or the lovely backhanded compliment, or, whatever? How long is that going to go on? And what last year did for me, it was like it made a clearer boundary, because it's like, we're not supposed to be unhappy. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to have peace of mind. It's okay to be able to do your work, not under duress, but to actually do
It's actually the opposite of what the norm is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's the opposite, but somehow because you consistently are around toxic environments,
you think it's normal.
You're just like, this is how it's going to be most of the time.
Yeah.
And nobody needs to live like that, Terri. No. Really. Nobody.
They can't, because that's how people get sick. That's how people, and not just a little head cold, but people get cancer and have heart attacks and strokes. And, it's just, you don't get to do it over again when stuff goes down like that.
That's right.
It's like, we really have to be, we really have to cherish who we are as individuals.
Yeah.
And that means forgiving ourselves. And that means really being protective of all that we've worked to become, because otherwise we don't know who we are. Otherwise we don't know. I had to really ask myself, is this the dream you still want to do? And what does it look like if you don't? And, these are huge life questions that you really can't answer if you're hearing 300 different people's opinions and voices. You have to be able to make that decision, because most of these people that say stuff to us and do all of that, we never see them again.
That's right.
When we do, we have nothing to do. We don't work for them. We're not, they have nothing to do with us. And yet we've now lived our life all these years still angry at that one person, trying to prove them wrong. And finally, it's like, I'm not letting these people steal my joy. It's like, good stuff happens. I'm not, cracking open a bottle of champagne and toasting with that person.
Right.
I would call you up and say, let's go drink it. I had to.
And I'll be there, Terry. Besides you being a really good cook. I'll be there, Terry. You don't have to tell me twice. I'll be there.
But that's what I mean. I think that's one of the things that people learn from this time of not being able to go out and socialize and hang out, is how much the people that they really love and enjoy mean to them, and how much time they wasted with people who didn't want any good for them.
Right.
It just hits you all of a sudden.
Yeah.
What was I doing?
Terry, I'm listening to you, and this thing is coming to my mind. I grew up in environments where people will demean me, they will bully me.
Me too.
I didn't really quite know how to stand up for myself, because I didn't know it was. I thought it was bad to stand up for yourself.
Yeah, of course.
You just lay down and take it.
You got to be the good girl.
Yeah, you got to be the good girl, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember one day something inside me just snapped. I was like, and I was like, take this shit out. I'm gonna fucking put you up. And I remember that moment, and I think that I realized, Terry, is that the thing you're talking about, where you like carry something in your chest because somebody said something awful to you. One thing I've learned is that now, if somebody gets in my face or does crazy shit like that, I handle that shit on the spot. On the spot. It's motherfucker, what you said? You said what to me? Oh, I'm gonna handle you right now. It's interesting because when I had moved here, I briefly worked for an executive at this company that rhymes with Etchers.
Okay.
That company.
I'll never get that.
And the woman that is the right hand to the top boss there, let's just call her the crypt keeper, because that's what she also fucking looks like.
Right.
Everybody in that office was nervous all the time.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, I hate that.
And I briefly worked as an assistant for her, and she was awful. She was firing people left and right. She was firing assistants. She was firing people left and right. When I came along, I would like stand my ground, and I'm like, no, bitch, not say no. And she was like, oh, I like that. She stands her ground. I like that. But you would still give me shit, right? But you're still,
of course,
all distressed. You're like constantly stressed out.
Yeah.
I remember I was starving. Had been working all day. I stepped out for lunch, and she was calling me on my cell phone. She's like, "Where are you?" I was like, "I just stepped out for 10 minutes to get lunch." She's like, "You got to come back. You got to come back," which is against California state law,
right?
Because you are absolutely entitled to your 1 hour of lunch.
Exactly.
Right? So, and I remember when she wanted to offer me, it was a temp position, and she wanted me to offer a permanent position.
Oh my God.
Terry, I heard my speech for that one. I remember sitting down in the conference. She's like, "Hi, I just want to let you know we really like you and would like to offer you a permanent position." I was like, "Let me break it down to you." I was like, I would never work. I was like, you are one of the most insecure, obnoxious, toxic human beings I have ever been around. I was like, don't you see how people feel and behave around you? I was like, don't you see that?
No.
I was like, you lack humanity. I was like, you're not even a person. I don't even know what you are.
I love it.
You're like some kind of monster. And I was just like, I would never work for someone like you. I was like, you are awful. I was like, because you feel awful inside, you try to make everybody else feels awful too. And I was like, I could never allow someone like you to do my life. So no, I would not take that position. Good luck.
Good luck.
She started welling up as
I bet, because nobody. That's what happens with bullies. If you turn around and go at them, they're not ready for that because they're used to running things.
That's right.
They're used to running things.
She was like, "Well, I'm just trying to do your job." I'm like, "You can do your job better. You can be better. How about that? How about take some fucking spirituality classes? Go to fucking therapy, babe. Smoke some fucking ganja. I don't fucking know. Do whatever the fuck it takes to be a person. Like, she had so much money. She married this really good-looking guy, and she bought him a Ferrari. I was like, oh, you married a little bitch, and you just like slap his ass around, and you bought a Ferrari. And I mean, she was just the stingiest, made millions of dollars. She was a horrible human being. Yeah. I'm sure when that bitch she dies, I'm sure people are gonna go and piss on her grave.
Yeah, I know a few people like that.
I have a hard time expressing myself.
No, you've always been so shy and quiet.
That's why I love you, Terri, because you get me. You get my shyness and my introversion. You get it. Terri, you briefly, I know that you're an only child and you were very close to your mom, and your mom passed away in the last, couple of years she passed away?
Was it 20, it feels like it, but it was 2012. 2013.
Was it 2013? Wow.
Yeah, on Father's Day, which was 1-2.
It feels like she passed away like yesterday almost.
I know.
That's what it feels.
Really, yeah.
I know that you guys were very close, and you mentioned her being an ad executive. Now, we're talking about our struggles in this day and age.
Oh, no. I don't know how she did it.
She's a Black woman in what? In the 60s?
Yeah, 70s? I mean, she really got her stride in 71, but she was in it in 68. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but she got her real break was in the 70, 71.
Wow. I mean, did she ever tell you stories of how she...
All the time. I'm doing a documentary on her. Yeah, all the time.
That sounds... wow.
One of the worst stories she ever told me, because there's a lot of really good ones, because all of her friends are my family. I mean, there are a lot of amazing, great stories, but there are a lot of really nasty stories. And one of her clients, and I'm definitely not going to say the brand, but one of her clients...
Mine with Etchers too?
No, it does not. But one of her clients, because she was always, being the copywriter, she was always the one who did the presentation. And one of her clients, after the presentation was over and they were leaving the room, he walked past and patted her on her head. Like, good little girl. Yeah. I mean, that was like a small micro thing, but there were so many stories of the disrespect that she got. And fortunately, none of it from when I talk about the agency that was the best agency for her, which was NW Air in New York, those stories of the people within the company was very positive. It was usually the clients that came in from the outside that really mistreated her. But yeah, there were some horrible stories. She put up with so much. She retired at 55, and thank God she did. But she put up with so much. I know that had a lot to do with her cancer.
Sure.
A lot of...
Wow, your mom, what kind of cancer did she have? I remember that.
She had lymphoma. Yeah. So, and her diagnosis to when she passed on was so many years, and they did not, in the beginning, they were like, yeah, maybe 5 years. It was like 15, 20 years before she, because she was so tough. But that was one of the things that I watched her go through. Now, as a kid, all I saw was the glamour of it, because we were in Manhattan. It was just,
Sure.
But we left and went to Chicago when she worked for Leo Burnett, and she had worked with other agencies after that. And I just remember seeing her go through the painful times, being in corporate America and being a Black female, just everything that she went through. And as a kid, of course, we never talked about it. But when I was in my teens and I was thinking about following her footsteps, she talked to me about it, and she gave me a lot of advice. And I think she always used to say, the thing that broke her heart the most is that I was saying the same stories to her that she had been through. Wow. I'd be on shows and things like that. And I'd come, I'd get on the phone with her and talk to her about somebody treating me this way, or this is going on. And she's like, this is ridiculous. I went through all of this so you wouldn't have to, and you're through it, So I'm really happy that I had her and her friends to really mentor me through going through, the industry. But unfortunately, it's so brutal that even if you know ahead of time what you can come across, it's nothing like when you go through it.
Right.
It really hurts your spirit.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for it not to break you. And I think the way that I've kept it together, and believe me, I've worked at one company that in 5 years I was in the hospital, so it can get really ugly.
Wait, you can't just brush over 5 years. Wait, what just happened?
No, that one I'm probably not going to tell, because people who know me know the company, and it was a little too. I'm not going to tell that story.
Terri, when you said in the hospital, like, what do you mean? What did?
Well, I ended up having to have a surgery, and when I asked the doctor about, what did he think contributed to it, and how long did he think that this was happening to me? He said, I'd say about 5 years, and it was the amount of time that I'd been working at that company. And I remember my mentor at the time, it was a spiritual mentor, said to me when I had come out of the surgery, she's like, I bet you won't do this again, will you? I bet you won't let someone hurt you like this again, or let this go on as long as you have. Mm-hmm. And I told her, no, I never will. And unfortunately, there were a couple more situations that I stayed in longer than I should. But all you need is a health scare, and that'll pull you back. That'll make you say, you know what? Because if that goes, it doesn't matter. You're not making TV. You're not doing nothing.
That's right.
It's like it's all we have. So it's just making good choices, knowing that if something is not working for you, stop doing it. If the business is, if this isn't paying you back in the way that you're giving out, sit down and really figure out how else you can do it, and whatever other way that you can do it. And that's not about failure. That's about self-care. That's about self-preservation.
That's right.
Because we have seen so many young people die from stress-related stuff in our industry, and it's not worth it.
Yep. I think, Terri, the last time I was at your place, we were having dinner. And a young lady that was there from Atlanta, Georgia, she passed away, didn't she? Yeah. She was what, 30, 32 years old?
No, she turned 30 and she was gone in 2 weeks. I think she had her birthday and then she was gone in 2 weeks. Yeah.
What happened to her?
I think it was stress related. I think it was, I don't know if it was an aneurysm for sure, but I'm still devastated over that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring it up to upset you. But it's been a year, so it's been in my mind anyway. But that's what I'm saying. It's like when you lose people, it just puts things in perspective.
30 years old. 30. You're just coming out of your baby years.
And she was really getting ready to blow up. She was doing so many big things, and just just full of life. It's so funny and just so, she just lived life fully, and it's like, and then she's gone, and that I think the thing that really did shift things for me was losing my mom, because at the last word she said was, it went so fast.
Wow.
And when I heard that, and she was 79,
wow.
And when I heard that, I was like, and the way she said it was not, oh, I wish I'd done, it wasn't that. It was, I was having fun and now it's over. It was that kind of tone. Mm-hmm. And in my heart, I was like, that's how I would rather go, is having this thing that my heart is so full that I accomplished so much, and that I fulfilled the things that I wanted to do, that I traveled. She traveled. She had amazing friends. Unfortunately, most of them have passed on, but she lived a full life, and she was always authentic. She didn't take any crap. She knew she was fiercely talented. There were men that were, white men that were like in awe of her and respected her. So those are the things that I think of now. It's like, okay, it does go fast. It does go fast, and it's important for us to figure out what truly makes a difference to us and how we want to live our lives on the daily.
Yeah.
Because it really, stuff does happen. I was on my way to Target and got a phone call from a friend whose brother is a fire chief talking about the lockdown back in March. So literally I had my weekend plan, gonna do this, go to the beach, do all this stuff. And then we were in lockdown, quickly.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, Terri, I think people who are indeed people who take the time to look into themselves, people like yourself, like me, the pandemic really shifted and gave all of us a real fast reality check, hard, difficult reality
check. Yeah.
And on top of that, I think what it also did, it put a lot of things in perspective. Like I was talking to a friend of mine today, and he's like, I've been, dating my boyfriend for a while. And, he's like, when the pandemic hit, he got sick. His health has been in and out. He is, they can't figure out what's wrong with him. He's been in the hospital for the past 6 months, going in and out. I mean, this guy is just, and he's only 42, 43 years old, right? God. Because how devastating the disease has been for him. Yeah. And he said to me, he was like, I was like, no, let me just get married now. Like, I'm with this person. I love this person that loved me. Yeah. I'm going to get married. I want to have a family. I'm just like speeding up the process, like time.
Yeah.
But Terri, like for some of us, like, I don't know what your kind of dating situation is for someone like
Zero.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing, right, Terri? Like when you are in this industry and when you're working these kind of mercurial hours where you don't know like how many days you're going to be, and to find a life partner who understands that lifestyle, who understands you, is patient with you, you're patient with them.
Yeah.
It's fucking hard, Terri.
Yeah.
It's hard, Like, look, I gave up on my dream of ever having kids, right? I gave up on that because
I never wanted kids.
I was just like, in my 30s, I was like, oh my God, I totally want kids. And now I'm just like, I got to give it up. I got to let something go or I'm going to burn myself out.
Right. Well, the other thing too is that it's already painful enough to go through. But what I realized, that was another thing I had to do, is that I had so many people around me that thought it was funny that I was single, that thought I was, that it was sort of this mentality of me being the loser. And here's the thing. Our culture has this thing about there's at least this is my opinion.
Yeah.
That there's 3 areas that people think they can give each other shit over. Either for being overweight, for being broke, or for being single. Mm-hmm. And my thing is that there's nothing funny about wanting to have a partner and you don't get to have one for whatever reason. Yeah. That's not funny. So I'm not up to being a joke, so it's important.
Who are these people? I hope you got rid of them, Terri.
Yeah, I'm not really around. I'm not really around those people anymore.
Not those people.
But it took me a long time to realize that it ain't funny. You know what I mean? It's not okay to have to constantly kind of either giggle along or swallow the pain or whatever we're going through in life.
You're too nice, Terri. We need to hang out, and I need to.
Yeah, no, you're in trouble.
One-liners.
You're in trouble.
All motherfuckers in place, like.
But the thing is that what last year taught me is that, I have to be honest about the things that hurt me and the things that make me happy, and not do anything to bring unnecessary pain into my life. You know what I mean? And I am no less than any other woman because I've not made it, because I believe that eventually I will be. But I really put up for a long time with this, believing that what everybody was saying and laughing about was true. And it's like, no, I know that I have taken the time to work on myself and taken the time to elevate myself. Because like you said, my past was dealing with a lot of low end guys, that really treated me like crap and enjoyed it, so I needed to heal that. And I needed to get to a point where I figured out who I am and then got to love her. I'm really proud of who I am now. I'm really happy with who I am now. And I wasn't before. And that's why I was attracting such a bad element of dudes into my life, because if I don't even like myself, why am I going to think this dude is going to show up and bring flowers and, instead of an insult and, withholding it. And so now for me, it's like every relationship is so important. Every day is so important because honestly, look at all the stuff that happened in the last 2 weeks. If we really think about the collection of things that happened in 2 weeks that were so off the deep end, emotional, we've been through a lot. It's important to find your joy on a daily basis. And if you have people giving you crap for anything, it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Bye, boy.
Bye, boo.
Bye, Alicia. Bye, Alicia. Goodbye. Don't need to see you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Don't want to be a goodbye.
Yeah. No. I believe that that all of this insane, crazy, awful stuff that people have been through, it just reconfirms my belief that I got to find joy every day, and I got to protect my soul, and and the way that I do that is watching the relationships that I have and watching the things that I listen to and believe, and it's so easy when we're, as brown and Black women to have all of these stereotypes and all of this hate thrown towards us. And the reality is that it's all bullshit, It's all bullshit,
That's right.
It only has power if you believe it.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Terri, I feel like this is like a therapy session. I think I'm going to cancel my therapy session on Tuesday. I don't need it. I had a session with Terri. I don't need you.
No, you're in trouble.
I don't need you, Bethany. That's actually the name of my therapist, believe it or not. Funny. She's great. But I actually want to ask you, Terri, of all the projects you have worked on and, continue to work on, like, what are some of the projects you've been working on during the pandemic? What are some of the projects you were working on before the pandemic hit? Like, and what happened to those projects?
The projects that I was working on before the pandemic hit, I don't want to talk about because it was an awful year.
Oh, okay.
But the projects that I worked on during the pandemic, it was really cool to finally take out all of the projects that I wanted to develop and do them and really do them. Like, usually we just throw the stuff together and hope it, just so we can get a meeting. And this was great for me to take my time and really research stuff and do it. Probably my favorite thing is my documentary about my mom and her friends. It's all trailblazers, Black trailblazers in advertising.
Amazing.
That has meant the world to me. I've been working on this damn thing for 15 years, ready to get it done. And discovering that I really love doing graphic design and teaching myself graphic design and really having fun doing something that, and I say this to anybody who works in the business as a creative, find that thing that you can do that's 100% you. You don't have a boss, you don't have a deadline, you don't have a network. It's just you playing. If it's comic books, it's like we need to feed our soul.
Child.
That discovery has been really fun because I've really gotten into my art and
good for you.
And other projects that are really, I realize a lot of my projects are based in women, cultural stories and women, and just a lot of really inspirational projects that mean the world to me. So, and I'm working for a platform now that's all culinary, which I have just been, it's been so nice not to be dealing with any drama.
Yes.
And I work for 2 bosses that are so loving and sweet that literally my end of the year review, I was crying. And because I was happy, not because I was being berated. And I realized, like you said, that I was not used to having that.
Yeah.
I've had some really great bosses over the years, but they've been far and few between.
Yeah.
So for me to be working with 2 women that are just so, gracious and respectful, it was just like, thank you. It just, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. And you're right. It's sad that that's not the norm.
Yeah.
The other is the norm, but I really hope that that's changing.
You know what it is, Terri? I think it also boils down to people saying no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, that it's because people said no, the Me Too movement happened. It's because people said no, BLM happened. It's because people said no, Time's Up happened. It's saying no. And may I just point out, of all the protests that have taken place, whether it be from the liberal side or conservative side, which protest has been the most peaceful with zero violence in it, Terry? Let me hear it. It's the Women's March.
Oh yes, that's true. That's true.
All women.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
No violence.
That's right.
I had the honor of emceeing the one in San Francisco in 2019.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh God. I was obviously at this one.
Yeah, in front of like 60,000 people.
Oh my God.
And you know, the craziest thing is, like, when you're standing backstage, you're just like, oh, I got this. And then you hear them chant.
Sure you do.
You hear them chant, and it's like this wave that comes out. You're like, oh
that was an amazing experience to be around so many. Yeah,
I'm trying like not to like cry right before I start to, because it doesn't even hit you. You know, this, Terry, as like, again, this is the reality of things. This is not coming from like a victim place. Or
right.
I don't do that shit. I used to, not anymore. My acting coach was like, why are you always a victim? And I was like, oh!
How dare you?
I'm a dramatic actor. Bitch, you always got drama. And it was single-handedly one of the greatest freaking wake-up calls he could have given. I'm very appreciative of that. But I think what happens for us, like if you're a woman of color, you're black or brown or Latino, whatever. I feel like we're always you just kind of grow up thinking like, ask
the way it is.
Ask less, take less.
So it is, yeah.
You don't deserve it. Who's giving it to you? Why you?
Why you? Yeah.
Somebody better than you out there. Yeah. You're not deserving of it.
Right.
Don't even act. Or if you're coming with confidence, you cocky now?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think so much of it, also so much the talk and the things that you see, and then you're like, I can't do that. I'm not doing that. I probably don't have the talent. I shouldn't even ask for it. I shouldn't even ask for it.
Yeah.
I think honestly, Terry, in moments when I told myself, fuck it, in the moments when I said, nope, I deserve it, fuck it, whatever I think they can think, those were the breakthrough moments.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And I feel like more and more people, and I'm sure it even applies to a lot of guys, who've experienced something like that. It's just a matter of just saying, fuck it.
Yeah, and we're worth it, and at the end of the day, it is true. We're all doing the same job. It's just some of us, are celebrated for it. Some of us are making a crap ton of money for it. But
feast or famine, Terry. That shit needs to end too. That feast or famine mentality.
Yeah, that's rough in our industry.
Listen, Judge Judy made $75 million in 1 year. Okay.
Wow.
Her crowd of people who work for her barely make enough. They barely, and they may help make her show a success.
Yes, I know.
You take away $5 million and you give to your staff, the people who make this magic happen.
I know.
Love you.
That division has to. Yeah, that has to change.
I'm like, bitch, what are you gonna do? Take the $70 million to the grave with you? How old?
Can't stand it.
I'm sorry. Is that too harsh? I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna go on Judge Judy. Judge Judy.
Oh my god.
I don't care. It's like, really, you can't just buy.
I know.
People, man. Like, come on, man. And that shit is just super annoying. Like that whole feast or famine.
Yeah. It's too much.
It's just like, dude, like, why does one, like, I understand if somebody's like, oh, that actress made $20 million. Okay, cool. Can we just pay her 15 and just take the 5 away and just give it to the rest of the fucking
people? I know.
Put food on the table and roof over their heads. Like, why did
it has to shift.
I'm sorry, Terry. I'm not down for that. God willing, tomorrow I make 20, 30, 40, 50 million. I want to take care of the people who work for me.
Yeah, exactly.
But if I take care of them, I know they always got my back.
Exactly.
I know they always got my back. And I think that there's a mentality of like, just let me just take. Good.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, dude, stop.
Yeah. It always comes back around, and we're seeing those things happen faster than we used to.
Yeah.
You know, people just taking and doing, doing wrong. And then the next thing you hear, it's hit them pretty hard, so it's changing.
Absolutely. So Terri, what, I mean, you said you're working on the documentary for your mom. I know that at one point, weren't you working on, was it like a HGTV kind of a show? Was it like a design show or something you were working on?
I worked on Design on a Dime for a long time. That was Design on a Dime for HGTV. I worked on for a long time. I was in design for a long time, and then I kind of, got out of it and got more into fashion and celebrity, countdown shows and things like that. I sort of walked away.
What was that like, Terri? What is it working with celebrities like that?
I've worked with some really great ones, and I've worked with some really, really mean ones. Yeah, really mean ones. And I, and it's interesting because I've never understood why anybody in that position would be vicious, because like you said, it takes a lot. It does take a village. I mean, it takes a lot of people to make this happen for people, for celebrities. It takes, their glam teams and the creative teams and their legal team and their PR team. It's like all of these people. So I've never understood why anyone would be brutal to anybody else, because that's such a fortunate, blessed situation.
Yep.
And I think it taught me a long time ago that we're all just friggin' people.
That's right.
It's the rest of this stuff is a fabricated, well-designed illusion, but we are friggin' people. And it's like, sometimes it's like, doesn't matter how many Emmys this one's won or whatever, they're just nasty. It's just a nasty person. It's like, regardless of whether they're talented or. Yeah.
And Terri, I mean, and it goes back to the point of, if Hollywood or the entertainment business claims itself to be so liberal and to be so progressive, they'll get up on stage and give these speeches.
Right.
Thing that matters is kindness.
Yeah.
Slap their assistant as they get off the stage. And then you just talk about kindness. Like, what?
Exactly.
What happened? Exactly. For me,
everyone's about their press. Everyone's about their press.
It's like that kind of two-faced, hypocritical shit. Yeah. And I think maybe that's why comedians maybe don't go on to become movies. Because we just talk real shit. Like, we call it out. We're just like, oh God, that's gross. Like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want somebody to, when I die, I don't want somebody to remember me that way. That's horrible.
No, that's awful. That's awful. Yeah.
No, we don't want that. I'm looking at all the beautiful artwork you have in the back there.
Oh,
is that from your mom's?
No, that's the Tina New Yorker covers, Tina Brown covers that I love so much. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm looking at those and I was like, oh, I'm liking them. I'm liking a whole lot of them. I actually wanted to ask you, and I was talking to Ron about this yesterday, but I wanted to ask you, when you, I think you touched upon it a little bit, but I wanted to know, watching Amanda Gorman, and especially watching Kamala Harris, take the oath. I mean, I was a mess for about 2
oh my God, the whole day I was just crying. It was like, I'd be okay, and then I start all over again.
Yes, because every time you just see her put her hand up, you're like,
yeah, it's just, oh my God. I know.
I think, you know what it was? What was it that was going through your mind when you saw that? A lot of people are like, all right, it's Kamala Harris, but I feel like the focus even wasn't so much on Joe Biden. The focus was on
her, because she was making history, Wow. And not only was she making history, but now she's living history. She's getting ready. She's doing the job.
That's right.
For me, it's weird to be very transparent. Part of me was crying because it was such an amazing thing to watch and to see someone make history like that. And part of me was very sad for myself because I'm not there yet, and I'm the daughter of somebody who did a lot to further, Black women in the industry. So it really, and then Amanda got up there, who's 22 years old, and I was like, okay, broad, you need to get your game going, because this is like, you got to.
I said to myself, I'm like, should I just quit now?
I know. It's like, I guess.
Like, is it too late for me? Like,
but that's what I'm saying. It was like, it was the most amazing, but it was also me looking at myself and saying, okay, you need to make a plan now and forget what anybody says. You have to decide what it is that you want to go forth and do, and how you want to do your work and the stories you want to tell, and how you want to, move forward, because it's time to do it with a fearlessness. I mean, I've always considered myself to be very driven and fearless in trying to do what I want to do. But I think now it's got to be more about investing who I am in it. Like, what Amanda was able to do for little girls in just that window of time that she was standing there, and what she did for me. I mean, after that, I was like, oh my God, what am I supposed to be doing now? I need to put more of myself in it. And it's not so much, let me climb the ladder, because that never worked. Let me figure out what my platform is truly, and putting 100% into it. Yeah. And healing myself and healing others with it, whatever that looks like. And I'm pretty much there. It's just, a matter of figuring out how to balance things so I don't want to burn out ever again. That's an awful feeling when you've been working so hard and you're just so burned out. You just want to rest. I don't want to get to that point ever again. I really want to, move forward and have a balanced, life. But I really want, when I leave this planet, I definitely want to have given something back to little girls to, so that they know they can do whatever the hell they want, whatever that may be. Yeah. And not to take any crap. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Terri, it's interesting because what about your dad? Like, was your dad pretty involved in your life as a kid growing up? What's the dad? Because I have had my share.
I'll say it briefly. I'll talk about this briefly. My parents were married and divorced 3 times.
Wow.
And they shouldn't have been married at all. Okay.
Like my parents. Okay, cool. All right.
3 times. I'm trying to do this diplomatically. He was a mean man. I mean, I don't have any other words. He was a very
narcissist.
Mentally, definitely definitely very narcissistic and very mentally abusive. And that was very hard for me to watch. But it never stopped my mom. It really didn't. He was not good to her. And also they were married and divorced 3 times. There were big gaps. So he really wasn't a parent that raised me. I mean, I think I was around him, when I was wonderful, 12 to 13. Yeah. And then again, like, 18 to 20 or something like that. It was a short amount of time, but the time was not good.
Yeah.
And he's just not it took me a lot of years. He's long gone, but it took me a lot of healers and a lot of forgiveness to get past the things that were said to me, and the way he treated me and the way he treated her.
Yeah.
And it took me even longer to figure out how to stop bringing in friendships and men like him. And I'm good. I really would say this last year really like cleaned the last of the debris, and that I think that's part of my heart being happy, is that I finally realized that all of that had nothing to do with me.
Right.
It hurt me and it caused a lot of wounds and a lot of pain, but those were healable things, and because of it, I know now, because I've had a couple relationships that have since kind of turned the corner and they're not what they used to be, but really abusive emotionally. And I realized that what's sad about that is that when people are getting physically abused, there's no way you can talk yourself out of it. Your face is bloody, you're messed up. When you're emotionally abused, it's small things that add up. And you start to believe that that's truth and that's the way it is and that's the way you should be treated. And now I know how to identify it. I know when I get this certain feeling in my heart and my spirit.
What's that feeling, Terry? What's that feeling? I want to talk about that feeling.
For me personally, it feels like if someone took a branding iron to your heart.
Wow.
It's a very achy, sad.
Do you hear a sizzle?
Yeah. You hear a sizzle. You hear
like this is in my heart right now.
Feeling of, if you're feeling bad, like really bad about yourself, about life, that's the feeling. And so I know now if I get like a little hint of that, it's time to go. You know, and it's time to be real.
Don't need to think about. I know what.
Yeah.
Not today, Satan.
Not today, Satan. It's like, I'm
Not
good.
today.
I got you. I got you coming from. I'm good. Yeah.
Oh, Terry, it makes a lot more sense, right? When the daddy issue thing is a real thing, right? And
it's very real thing. Yeah.
It's a very real thing, right? And I have a girlfriend of mine. She said, I don't like the word daddy issue. I said, why? Because she said because it puts the responsibility on the woman, not the man, right? It's as if I have the issues because I churned them out. It's just like, no, they should just be called, issues caused by a dad. They're not, it's just like, it's not my fault. Like, you did this shit to me, and now I gotta fucking deal with this.
Exactly.
And I think it makes a lot of sense. And it sounds like your dad definitely had a lot of similar traits to my dad. I mean, my dad was very narcissistic, very physically abusive,
Mine was physical, yeah.
Verbally abusive.
Verbal baby, yeah.
Verbally abusive, yeah.
But I also have, I think what saved me is that my mom was such a strong light in my life and such a positive.
Yes.
The thing was, she also surrounded me by a lot of male role models that kind of overshadowed his meanness. It's like my godfather, Pat, I just adore him so much. He was really a dad to me. And it was one of my mom's dearest friends. He and his wife, Judy, are my godparents, because they've always been like a second set of parents to me. My grandfather was amazing. He was just such a loving.
Maternal or paternal?
Huh?
Maternal or paternal?
Maternal. Yeah, maternal.
Maternal.
Just the most amazing, loving man. So I had role models that diminished the damage. I also did not have him every year of my life. That would have been I don't know how I would have overcome that. I really don't.
So it was a blessing, right? As a child, probably, as a child, I'm sure you were like, why isn't my dad around? But as an adult,
no, I wasn't. I was
even
I never cared because I had so many of my mom's guy friends were so wonderful that I never missed having a dad. Yeah. So when he did show up, it was like, why are we doing this? I had such a great life with my mom, with her and I, that, I didn't feel that way. So, when they got divorced the third time, I was in college, and I just remember going out and having a champagne brunch with my friend Ina and being like, thank you, God. I was so happy for my mom, to really be free.
Time, baby. But Terry, it makes a lot more sense. It's just like they, in psychology, that's a thing that I've talked about it multiple times here, which is, you always, they say in psychology, whichever parent you had the most fucked up relationship with, that's the kind of person you attract in your life because you're trying to heal that relationship.
Yeah. Well, I'm good.
Yeah. So thank God you went through that. You're like,
I'm good.
We're done. We're fixed. Yeah. We're good. We're moving on. And I think for me, it also took me a long time. And I honestly thank God for therapy. Thank God for self-healing and spiritual work and working on yourself.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the best gift, and because my mom was such a hip, she was very corporate and very fashionista, but she was also a big hippie chick. And she never discouraged me from getting help, from going to healers, from going to, therapists, from doing whatever I had to do to protect my mental health, because I spent most of my teen years really battling depression. So as an adult, I'm like, no, we're not doing this. I can't be this dark for the rest of my life. So I'd say by the time I reached my 30s, I was I would go through bouts of it, but it wasn't a daily, like, this is how you're living. And
Right.
That's why I'm really happy now that there's so many people that are speaking out about, mental health and self-care and reaching out and talking to people and not being ashamed, because it's some hardcore stuff.
I think your therapist just wrong you, Terry.
Huh?
I think you just got a message from your therapist when you talk about
it. Exactly.
Reminder.
Reminder.
No, I mean, mental health is a big thing. I talk a great deal about it and how much therapy saves me. And
it saved my life.
Therapy single-handedly saved my life. I mean, I've been very, I don't know what if that's the case for you, Terry, but I think for me, because also I grew up in a culture and environment where there was a lot of shame. There's a lot of shame as a woman, with a shame when it comes to your body. Oh, don't show this. Oh, it's shameful. Right. Oh, don't be too beautiful. Right. Shameful. Oh, you said this. Shameful. And I think the older I got, the more I was just like, everything you tell me, I'm going to go against it even harder.
Yeah, exactly.
The more you tell me, the harder I'm going to hate you. And I think sometimes I have to kind of being like, that didn't deserve that level of hardness. Like, I didn't have to go in so hard. But I think because you are like kind of
conditioned.
You're in this conditioning, right? You're always up against the wall. So you're like, I gotta put my dukes up. I always gotta fight, and I think after a while, you're just like, I gotta pull this shit down. Like, it doesn't always require it. And I think that's where I am in my kind of journey.
Well, I acquired quite a vicious temper in the last 5 years, I'll tell you.
I bet.
It's like all of those years of pushing it down that.
Yeah. You want an angry black girl? I'll show you an angry.
Yeah. And I know it's there to protect me in some way.
Yeah.
But it's not healthy. And I don't want to ever have to really go there anymore,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Terri, this is we should definitely be canceling our therapy sessions. Because this has been pretty cathartic. I feel like I should celebrate with like a glass of wine or something.
Of course you
do. Like a glass of wine and a joint, like something to just celebrate all this cathartic conversation we had. My shoulders all relaxed, and I took a CBD gummy. I took a CBD gummy. They gave me a sample one at the dispensary, and I was like, I'll take it. And I was like, how much THC is in it? They're like, no THC. I'm like, are you sure? They're like, we'll see where this goes. But I think the CBD. I think you did a better job than the CBD gummy.
Well, thank you for that.
Thank you for being so open and generous with your information. Terri, we're going to start wrapping up. Are you much on social media at all? Do you like people to follow you, stalk you?
Yeah, I'm Curvy Swagger on Instagram.
Yeah, slide in your DMs.
And I'm excited. Now that I do want people to do is eccentric.com.
Right? Have you been dating at all during the pandemic or like nothing?
How?
How?
There are some guys who have been. Yeah, no.
Girl, get you on Hinge. Like, get yourself on like some of the dating apps. You know what it is? This is the way I calculate it. I'm just like, you can do a video call. You can at least like talk to people and just like see where it is. You can talk to 5 people. I remember talking to a guy, and he started going in like, "Oh, my sister has this really crazy personality disorder, and then I have this thing." And I remember as he was talking to me, I was like, unmatching him on. I was like, "Keep talking."
You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind.
I was like, keep talking. And I was like, okay. I was like, hey, thank you very much. And then I remember hanging up with him and sending him a text. I'm like, hey, thank you so much for taking the but I don't think it's going to work. We're just very different.
So let me get right on that, Mona.
Let's cut to the chase here. It's a pandemic. We're dying. Like, let's go, right? What are we looking at here? Dude, Terri, he sent me a long ass fucking text. You're missing out. Crazy man. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. Did we? Did we not establish? you told me all this fucked up shit. Like, am I not supposed to acknowledge this? Like,
no.
What? And you and I know, Terry, goodness, like, enough of the toxic people in the entertainment business, toxic people in the dating world. Holy.
No, that's a whole nother subject.
Wow. Some of these people. I was talking to this guy briefly. He's a French-American dude. And he was like, I'm a liberal, I'm a Democrat. I totally want Biden to win. But are things really going to change with Biden, though? Are they really going to change? I mean, there's a caravan on its way here. I was just like, what the fuck? Are you are you personally going to greet the fucking air caravan? What the fuck are you sweating this shit for? Like, what the hell are you talking about? And he was like, oh, yeah. He's like, oh, yeah. And then he's like, well, he's like, you're supposed to be up on this whole pop culture thing, right? Isn't that what you do 5 days a week? So you tell me.
Wow.
I was like, first of all, I was like, you just call me ignorant to my face, and I don't appreciate that. So let me check
you.
I was like, let me just check you right now. Don't fucking talk to me like that. He's like, no, I don't mean it that way. I'm like, I don't give a fuck how you meant it. The way I interpret it. So shut the fuck up.
Oh my God.
And he was like, oh, okay. I'm like, okay. And then same thing. As I was talking to him, I was literally just right on the app. I was like, you keep running your mouth. Go right on. I'm going to just fucking block your ass right here. Like, but it's like, guys, it's like, you don't know. Let me explain it to you. You're like,
oh my God,
how about I just jump you?
Oh my God,
it's crazy. No, Terry, we have to. Maybe we can have like a glass of wine or champagne right after we have our vaccines, and then.
I know everybody's
on your
vaccine plans.
Work on your like dating profile, like. I think the biggest selling point is going to be like vaccinated.
Yes, very true. That's a sketch waiting to happen, Mona. Get on that.
But no, Terry, this has been so much fun. If you want to follow you, they can. And Terry, you also have a website where your resume is like a good.
Yeah, it's my name. It's my name, TerriJude.com.
TerriJude.com. Okay, yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Terry, have a lovely weekend, my friend. This has been
too. Thank you for the giggles. I knew it was going to be funny.
I love you. Thank you for this. I learned so much. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon. All right?
Okay. Bye.
That was the lovely Terri Davis. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. I know I did. And look at that. My thing is moving all over the place. Anyways, you guys have a great weekend. Stay safe out there. Wear your masks. Please don't party. Please don't go out in groups. We're still in the middle of a pandemic. I know the Biden administration is trying to curtail it, but please, we got to do our part. Please stay safe out there. If you haven't followed me on my YouTube channel, please do. You can follow me on youtube.com/Mona Sheikh, my last name, and comedian. You can also follow me on TikTok at Mona Sheikh Comedian, on Twitter and Instagram at Mona's Comedy, and on Facebook at Mona Sheikh Comedian. You guys, it has been a pleasure as always. You can, watch my YouTube videos, dude. It would just mean the world to me. I'm almost there with my watch hours, so it can be monetized. It would really mean the world to me. You can go on my YouTube channel and like, as you're cleaning the dishes, as you're putting the children to sleep, as you're, picking up the dog poop, whatever. You can be listening to my playlist and racking up some watch hours for me, which would mean so much to me. And if you guys like these rants that I do, I think I've mentioned this before. I've lost pretty much all my income because of all my touring has been canceled. So if you guys like to watch these, and if you want to donate, you can donate me money on PayPal at info@minorityreports.com or Venmo me at Mona S518. Anything you donate counts and matters, and I appreciate you for doing that. You guys have a lovely evening. Stay safe out there. I will see you on Monday. Good night.